Hello everybody, in this video we're going to be going over Japan's population density. This information should help you on the critical thinking aspect of the medieval Japan IMAP. So we're going to go ahead and just cover what is population density. So population density is going to be the total number of people living in an area. So for example, we have the city of San Jose where a lot of people live within the city. We have San Francisco. If you've ever been to San Francisco, you have witnessed and experienced high population density with how cramped their housing is, how expensive real estate is around here. You have houses going for millions of dollars that are tiny 2-bedroom homes. So again, population density is an area that is highly populated with lots of people. So here is a picture of the United States, and you can see that the areas that have the highest populations are going to be along the coast. Okay, and then in the middle we have what's known as rural America, right, where there's going to be a lot more space, less people living, and you're going to have lower rates of or lower prices of real estate and things like that because there is more land for people to live on. Now, looking at the population of Australia, we can see that there are 3.2 people per square mile in Australia. So again, it's a country and a continent, so they're going to have lots of space. However, the center of Australia is pretty uninhabitable due to the fact that it's the outback and its harsh conditions. Then we have the United States, where we have 92 people per square mile. However, we do have a very large country, so we have plenty of space. It's just most of us choose to live along the coastal cities. Now, looking at Japan, where you can see that it jumps up to 896 people per square mile. So Japan, as we can see, is a much smaller country. It's an island, and not only is it an island, it is extremely mountainous. So here's a topography map that shows its mountains and the flatlands of Japan, and you can see again it is all full of mountains, and there are only certain areas and small areas that have the right conditions to have a city and allow people to build on and expand. So looking at all three countries, we can see that the United States again has plenty of land. It's just most of us live on the coast, so you live on the coast as well. You can see major cities are highly populated in the red, so Seattle, the Bay Area, so San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, San Diego. And then we have New York out here and Florida. So again, most people are choosing to live in these areas. In Australia, they are also living along the coast because the center is just too harsh for thriving conditions for a city. And then here is a picture of Japan. So I'm going to go ahead and hit present. So here's a picture of Japan. As you can see, the red areas are the ones that hold the most people. All the other areas hold a lot less amount of people because they are extremely mountainous. So here's just a small picture that you can relate to. If you've ever driven down to Los Angeles, you have probably taken Interstate 5. So as you can see, there aren't a whole lot of cities or housing going on. A lot of it is used for agricultural purposes. So this is an example of a less populated or less population dense areas. Now, looking at Australia, this is the outback. So again, you can see that there is not much water. It's going to be extremely hot, and it's just not going to make for good conditions to have a city thrive in it. Now, here are some pictures that Mr. Ferenzi actually took, on his trip to Japan. So as you can see, he's in one of the areas that is a little bit less populated or dense. Okay, so you can see some shrubs and some agriculture here going on, but again, a lot of these houses are in close proximity to each other. So here is a closer look at Japan's population density. Again, I just want to emphasize all the red tallies here are mostly made up of the land that is flat. So these are going to be the conditions where a city is able to thrive in. Now, the question is, why so dense? Why the density? So Japan, again, is a chain of islands, and it's going to be made up of four major islands: Honshu, Hokkaido, Shikoku, Kyushu. And pardon me if I mispronounce those and you are laughing at my Japanese right now. But again, roughly 72% of Japan is mountains. So it is difficult to set up a city in a mountainous area. Here are some other examples of Japanese apartments and housing. So Mr. Frenzy threw on this funny little meme about Japanese apartments getting smaller. And here are some pictures he took on his trip. Obviously not this one, but you can see that apartments Japanese infrastructure begins building upward because they have to make more room for people to live in, and you can't expand outward, so you have to build upward in the form of apartments. So here are some pictures that Mr. Frenzy took of some Japanese apartments. So as you can see, very cramped spaces, so they have their entire kitchen here. They don't necessarily have room for a full-size stove, an oven, bathrooms right across the kitchen, and there's a small living space and then a room. Here's another example. So you can see it almost looks like a studio apartment, maybe something you would see in San Francisco, because space is so limited. Here's a little diagram and breakdown on what a Japanese apartment layout might look like. So you can see they have a little living space, they have a loft, so they can go up this little ladder to sleep up here to conserve space. Then we have a bathroom, the kitchen, and bathtub. Here's some more images of Japanese apartments. And again, you can see that a lot of this bedding is very minimal. So the goal is to get it out of the way so that you have space to live in and relax and lounge in. Here's some other examples of population density in Japan. This one might be the most shocking to you because this is during rush hour, and this is going to be a daily commute for a lot of Japanese people. So as you can see, they are being crammed and pushed into the train. So here's actually a video of that. So they are being pushed into the train to try to maximize space and try to maximize commuters in this train. So this might be a little shocking to us as Americans, because I know we all, as Americans, really like our personal space, and we often feel weird being close to people or people being too close to us, whereas in Japan, you really don't have that option. Now, here's some other images as well as population density, and notice that no one here is really out of place. A lot of people are following the rules. They're in the bike lane. People are staying on the sidewalk. They're not jaywalking. And this is going to be important because, as the debrief is going to ask, in which country do you think social manners will be most important? And that's definitely going to be Japan due to its high population density. So the geography of Japan is definitely influencing Japan's culture, because with so many people living in these small areas, right, your social manners are really, really important. You cannot be acting like a jerk. You cannot be jaywalking. You can't be running around. Everybody must play their part. And this also goes into Japanese culture, because in Japanese culture, manners and respect is huge. Okay? So, again, you're not going to do something to embarrass your family, embarrass yourself in this type of environment. Everybody's going to have to follow the rules. Everybody's going to have to be orderly because of the high population density. So looking at the debrief, I'm not going to make you answer these, but I just want to go over them really quickly. So, in which country, Australia, the United States, or Japan, do you think beef is most expensive, and why? So the reason why beef is going to be most expensive in Japan, it's going to be because of the limited space to maintain cattle and to harvest beef. So in Australia, there's plenty of room. It is going to be a little bit more challenging in regards to beef due to agriculture and feeding them. But the United States is definitely much better suited for maintaining and taking care of cattle. And as you can see, we have a giant beef industry here in the United States, and meat is pretty inexpensive for us. A lot of us eat meat throughout the week, and it's not something that we really ever find to be breaking the bank. Yes, maybe filet mignon is expensive, right? But it's pretty easy for us to just get any sort of meat in general here, especially like a chuck roast or carne asada, like a flank steak. So here is an example of Japanese Wagyu beef, and I probably mispronounced that, but this beef can sell up to $200 per pound. And here is a quick little image of what that looks like, and you can actually get this at Costco. But it is going to be a highly marbleized piece of beef, and again, this is one of the most expensive pieces of beef that you can possibly buy. Now, in which country do you think in which country, Australia, the United States, or Japan, do you think stresses social etiquette and manners the most? Why? Again, that's going to be Japan, because not only is their culture already set up to have these social etiquette and manners in place, but you cannot be acting a fool in a highly populated and dense area such as Japan, or more specifically Tokyo. How does Japan's geography affect its population density? And again, it's the fact that it has so many mountains that it's going to force so many Japanese people to live in these limited spaces where they are able to prop up cities and flourish. So they're going to have to make it work, and everyone's going to be in a really cramped space. So if you have any other questions or any questions regarding the information, please let me know. You can always send a comment on Google Classroom. You can send an email. However, you must reach out. So please let me know. Please use this information to answer your critical thinking question. And besides that, I'm going to go ahead and close it off. Have a great day.